Too legit to quit. Hey, hey, too legit to quit. Hey, hey, too legit to quit. Hey, hey, dun 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 dun. I don't know. Too legit to quit. Hey, hey, too
Is
legit.
this what the whole show is going to be?
Yeah. Welcome to the No Dick Pics podcast. I am Max.
I'm Christina.
Episode number 34.
33.
33. Oh, it's because it's daylight savings time. We lose an episode.
I mean, we're also doing 34 today. So,
Yeah.
kind of right. But yeah, we have an exciting show. Chrissy is joining us in a little bit. So, she's going to tell us a fun dating story or two. I don't know exactly what she has planned, but she is also a single parent. So, she's got
Three's Company. Right? Chrissy.
Chrissy, yeah. And
Yeah,
there's going to be
Three's-
three of us.
So it's
I'm
Three's
not.
Company.
What's the other one's name? Janet?
Yeah.
I am not Janet.
And we could all go to the Regal Beagle.
Yeah. Hi.
Oh, welcome.
I was really curious how things like this work. Do I just like pop in unannounced?
Yeah. We'd like to introduce Chrissy to the No Dick Pics podcast.
People are not real, and the names you hear are not real, right?
Yeah, sure.
I'm real.
Don't they say that before like a show, you know?
Yeah,
They've
when
changed
it's
the
like
names.
dramatized. Like when they're recreating like a crime scene or something. So we met you in a fun way. You reached out to me. You kind of gave me a little shout out to tell me that you love the show. It was like one of the nicest messages I've gotten because it was hitting every point that the whole reason we're doing this is to like make people feel like they're not alone and to know that there's other people going through the same things. And, so it was really sweet to get that message. It's really fun to have someone on the show who like neither of us knew before, and we just kind of like kept talking and talking because that's a very Christina thing. I didn't add you as a friend because I'm like, I love this girl. I'm like, we're gonna be friends.
I didn't even know that didn't even dawn on me when you said that.
Yeah, I didn't add her because she wasn't caught up on the show, so she didn't know if we were together or not.
I was fan-geeking out so much I didn't even care. I was already so that. Like, she's responding to me. I'm so excited to virtually be meeting you both.
You too. I've heard things a lot about you.
I've heard a lot more about you too.
She's listened to all of our episodes. Are you caught up now?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. What did you think of the last episode?
With that other podcast host, right? Yeah, I really enjoyed it from hearing it from not only another single parent, but another male single parent.
Mm-hmm.
And I completely related to that number one question of time. So hearing his answer was nice. I loved how he talked about needing to like activate your village, because I feel like that's my biggest issue too. I get super jealous of all my friends, whether single or not single, because, even if they're married, they get those date nights out with their spouses, or they can get stuff done around their house, or because they have grandparents that will chip in. They've got, neighbors or friends, or they have aunts, uncles. They have all this like community around them. And I don't feel that I do. I mean, I do in a sense. I have family and friends that care about us and love us, but some that aren't necessarily accessible, like the distance, or like the ones that I feel like I could drop my kid off and they would watch him all night long for me, are the ones that live 2 hours away, right?
That sucks.
Yeah, or an hour away. So the people that are close by, it's not that they couldn't, but you just feel like you're inconveniencing everybody around you, right?
I think it's different,
like that,
like family and friends. So with family, you feel like a little bit better, like if you ask for a favor. But I think friends, it's kind of like sometimes you don't. I know I don't activate my village, but now with my parents getting older, I kind of like I really don't rely on them anymore.
I'm the same with you, Max. Like I have some that I can activate. It's more just an internal thing. I choose not to do it for my own. I don't know. It could be pride. It could just be, feeling guilty, inconveniencing people. I'm a huge people pleaser, right? So I have a struggle with doing that, but I'm trying to, because it's obviously going to be key to dating, because it is exhausting using the very little free time that I have on dating. So
I'm sure.
What apps have you? I love hearing this. What apps do you feel are like better? I mean, there's nothing that's really good, but like some people put above others.
Well, I've joined the Facebook one, and I've stuck with that one for two reasons. One, because I don't even know how you really turn it off because it's connected to your Facebook. But I like that one because I liked the idea of seeing that you're common friends with people. That's
I like
one
that
thing you
too.
don't get on
That's
any
what I
other
like.
app, because that helps weed out. I feel like if I see someone that's like, common friends with me, I can text them and be like, hey, yay or nay? Like, is it even worth it? Do I swipe right? Do I swipe left? So that's been kind of nice. I will say that's also scary, and it's a little sketchy. You gotta be careful with that, because I did have somebody that liked me that was common friends with me and a couple friend of mine. And I texted her saying, hey, you're holding out on me. Who's this? Because we've always joked that they're going to help try to find me somebody, and they just keep saying they don't know anybody. So when this person came up as being a common interest of ours, and he seemed like a really great guy, I was like, who is this? Why haven't you introduced us yet? And they were like, he's married. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So,
See, he should have. The smarter guys will create a fake profile.
Yeah, I guess this one wasn't.
And then connect their dating to that profile instead of their real one with their wife.
Yeah.
That's dumb.
Brightest crayon in the box there. So that's why I like that one. I'm still on Hinge. I've been on that one for a while. That one on and off.
See, I always had success with Hinge.
Yeah.
I like Bumble was messed up. I would do Tinder every now and then just to get like some laughs out of it. Like, oh, I'm gonna meet some just crazy motherfuckers here.
I will say Tinder was when I first got divorced, right? It's that classic, like, get out there, have fun, be you. So another single friend of mine and it was a male, and he was on Tinder, and he goes, you got to get on it. I'm like, okay, sure. So I joined it, and I started a profile, and all I did was put like one picture, and I didn't even put much of a bio. And then I got distracted, and I just like didn't finish it, and I kind of went off with my day. And then like a day or two later goes by, and I saw notifications from it. So I go to check it. And I kid you not, I think I had 500 likes. I was like, what? And so, I felt like that was a false start to the dating world. It was very like a deceiving start. It was just like, wow, am I really?
I had a very similar story, but I didn't know how to use it.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like I couldn't figure out how to like look at things without paying. And I'm like, I'm not paying.
Yeah.
Because at the time I was still on my ex-husband's iCloud account. So I'm like, I'm not. He's going to see this charge for Tinder.
Yeah. So
we were split up, but like I was like, maybe not.
The male or female, like it's always like I don't know, like guys if guys get like 5 or 6 messages, they're excited because you probably think like it's probably a 4-to-1 ratio, men versus women, and people would talk about they could put like a picture of a Smurf up, and they would just get 100 likes. Like you get a couple likes on Hinge. I'm like, yeah, I'm having a good day. All right.
So that friend of mine that told me to join Tinder. So like after I see the 500 likes, I was like, oh, this must be a fluke, like, or they're all fake, or like they're creeps. So then I let it go like 2-3 more days. That friend comes back over, and we're hanging out, and I'm like, yeah, it's crazy. I have like 500 likes. He's like, what? And he got real serious. And I was like, yeah, here. And I'm like, let's be friends. Let's swipe through them together. So I turned it on, and all of a sudden I had 900 likes in the matter of like those 5 days. And he was mad. He was like, what? He's like, you don't even have a bio. You have one picture. And I looked at him kind of crazy, like, why are you so mad? And he's just like, I get like one like a week. And I have a bio that I worked on for weeks. I've got emojis. I've got 7 pictures. I was like, I'm sorry. He was pretty mad.
Yeah. I couldn't figure it out. That's why I didn't do it. But then like on other apps, I never had hundreds on Hinge.
I never did.
Yeah.
Maybe like,
but on Facebook dating, you can't see how many you have on Facebook dating, but I could swipe forever.
Yeah, that drives me nuts too. I hate not being able to see the next few. Like sometimes I kind of want
to have to like know, am I gonna swipe right on this guy? You have to be like sure, but you can't go back.
They're all toxic. That's crazy. They start to take over your life. You're like, and it's like, okay, I gotta put it, It's nice not to be on them anymore.
Well, I'm still on Hinge, but just slowly. Facebook, Hinge, and then the only other one I have now, which I just joined because of your guys' love story, is Match.
That was just pure. That was pure. Like, just I was bored. I tried Match before, and I'm like, Match sucks.
The timing is very crazy, though.
I tried the expensive one. What is it? I was so. Oh, what was it?
eHarmony? I don't know. Yeah. I've never done it.
I've heard bad stories.
I met like 2 crazy people. One was, she was a vegan, and she was abstinent. So she and then it was crazy. I remember that.
There's nothing wrong with being vegan or abstinent. Just putting it out there for anyone listening. It's just not Max's cup of tea.
No meat, no sex, no go.
I was just going to say, one or the other sounds kind of like, okay, there's some restraint in that person, but both, I'm not that strong. Nope.
Yeah. It's very toxic. You, like, come back, like, maybe lunch at work or something. Oh, come on, what am I doing wrong?
Mm.
I mean, mine was like, because I hate selfies, and like, like every picture I look the same.
Right.
I
Okay.
still have our little match thing saved on my Gmail account.
Do
I showed you
you?
that. Yeah.
Oh,
That's cute.
I feel like the ones that have like too perfect of photos, I mean, I hate to sound this way. It's not me thinking that like I'm not good enough or worthy enough, but sometimes when they're too good of photos, I'm like, yeah, no. Like I just like I want more like that realistic, like
Mm-hmm.
real
And if
looking.
they
I
have a
was
gym photo and a fish photo at the same time, that's just like, that just, you turn around.
yeah.
I don't mind the fish
But
ones because I get it. I think because one guy told me this once before. I was like, why? Why always the gym and the fish and he said, well, he goes, guys don't take selfies. He goes, so the only pictures as they're scrolling through their phones that don't involve their kids or their exes or their family are usually going to be their fishing photos, their workout
that's
photos.
true.
And I was
That's
like,
true.
that's a good point. I get it. So like the fish ones I don't mind because at least it shows he's off the couch and out of the house because
Mm-hmm.
I've had that in my past and I don't want that again. So that's a good sign. But the gym one is a little cocky to me. Like it's just a little
Yeah, it
like,
is.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, hey, I just finished dumbbells. I'm going to
A
take a
shirtless
picture.
pic is a no for me.
yeah, the
Because
shirtless.
a shirtless pic means you're probably a dick. In my experience, they have been. They've
Yeah.
been very full of themselves,
I would
very
have welcomed the
cocky.
shirtless pic. I'd have been fine with that.
I'm sure you would have.
You would swipe right on every single profile.
Yeah, she's like, I have 5,000 likes. Yeah, no shit.
This is an OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
see?
I said, I don't go to the gym, and of course, it was a group trip, and there was like a group of people we were with, and two of the three people they like to work out, and they're like, "Come on, let's go, you know, we got to work out these buffets that we're eating at this all inclusive all week." So I was like, "All right, sure," and it just happened to be a cute photo I took, so I was like, "Here we go."
Hey, I have some cute gym ones too, but they're old because I haven't been in the gym in a really long time.
I am very impressed with some of the lines I've gotten with guys from that exact photo, though, because, and this is something that I didn't notice. It wasn't planned. This wasn't me being funny in any way. But the tank top that I'm wearing in the photo at the gym, it's black and in white letters in the front. It's just funny. I'm a very sarcastic person, so I love shirts like this, but it just says Pillow Fight Champion on the front. But I just thought it was funny. Like, I wasn't looking for like the extra attention from it, right? And so I just liked that it was a full body photo of me that was revealing too. I'm in a tank top, you know? So I put that on there, and the lines I get from the guys trying to start conversations, they're pretty funny. They're good. It's like I'm
So, but the $1 million question is, have you gotten a dick pic?
Oh my God.
I can answer this for her. Yes.
That's crazy.
You had to ask that question. I think when I tell my friends or people that ask me that question, I always go like, I have seen more unsolicited dick pics in the past 2.5 years of being single than I probably have of it in real life, like in my whole life.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think every woman that's dating has had a dick pic sent to her. It's pretty much right.
Yes.
I got to a point.
Even the ones that aren't dating.
Yeah,
I've never like it never went through my head like even I don't know even like
you're
if I'm
on
with
the app
someone.
for different reasons. Like some of these guys, they're on this app for that reason, and you can tell because they go if it's unsolicited like that. Like I think it's different when you're kind of talking like that together, like getting kind of into the dirtier talk. And then when someone sends it to you, it's like you can't.
I didn't ask for this.
It's like you can't be. Well, but some of the girls like that I know that are on these apps too, and they'll kind of get into that talk with some of these guys, and then it's like they'll get the picture and they're still surprised. And I'm like, but are you surprised? Like, cause, you know, just because not that I'm validating it, not that I'm saying that they should still send them like that unsolicited, but it's like you can kind of tell who's going to send that to you. And it kind of became a running joke for me, though, with some of the guys I were chatting with, because they'd be like, you know, hey, can I give you, you know, let's exchange numbers because it's easier, right? I don't know. And right. So literally anytime a guy would say, hey, can we exchange numbers? I'd be like, yeah, sure. Just don't send me a dick pic. Like I would flat out just say, do not send me one. And it's funny because you can kind of tell the judge of character of the guy about like by his response to that. So the guys that get super offended by my comment, which is just
they were going to send you a dick pic.
Just me being sarcastic, right? They're just like, wow, you just assume that of me. I'm like, well, I mean, it's kind of easy to assume. And
it's like a 50-50 chance, so I don't know.
I'd have said something funny like, well, I guess I'm not sending you pics anymore.
Well, right. And I think those are the guys that I then felt comfortable with proceeding to talk to were the guys that could make a joke out of it. That could see my humor in that comment and go, she's funny. I like it. Let's keep talking. Those are the ones I'm like, okay, let's keep talking.
Aw, my sign. It's fine. It's saying like
That's
that.
a sign, literally.
You know what's funny?
I don't know why the one side won't stay up.
I was thinking of taking like a piece of paper and a marker and like writing NDP and like hanging it up on my wall.
Really? Oh my God, I would have loved that.
I thought that would have been funny. Then I'm like, no, that's weird. Don't do it.
No, I would have loved that.
Don't show them you're weird so early.
No, I love it.
So like, I just remember, so someone recommended me your podcast a long time ago. It was months and months ago. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is the first podcast I've ever listened to.
That's awesome.
I'm not a podcast listener. Like when someone told me about podcasts, I was like, what's a podcast? I'm like, where do you even listen? I didn't even know where you listen to those. I'm like, is it an app you download? I was like, I don't even know. But someone told me about it. I hate to say this. I can't remember who it was. I don't know if it was a friend or if it was a date. I feel like it was a date.
I would love to know who it was.
Yeah.
Leading up to this interview, I literally was like, I've got to remember who it was. She's going to ask. And I'm like, I can't for the life of me remember who it was. But someone recommended it to me and you couldn't forget the name. They were like, oh, it's called No Dick Pics. And I'm like, that's awesome. I was like, too bad I don't listen to podcasts. That sounds great. That sounds great. And I just didn't. I like swiped it back in my mind. Didn't even think about it until months later. I'm like, I'm on my Spotify app listening to a playlist on my way to work. And I was like, I'm kind of over this playlist. I listen to it all the time. I happen to look over at the top of my screen and it says podcast. And I'm like, should I do it? Should I be a podcast listener? So I clicked it and I'm like, wait.
The answer is yes.
I was like, what am I going to listen to? I just sat there like, what do I? And then I remembered, how do you forget that name? No Dick Pics. I'm like, done. So I searched it, found you guys. Hooked. I was so hooked.
I love that. That's so nice to hear.
First season. So that's when, and it's weird how this all aligned. It's weird how I'm in this single parent group, but then also found your podcast and it's all happening at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden I see your post in the group and I was like, there's no way that's her. I saw Christina. I saw the name. I'm like, that can't be her. I was like, no way. And I click it and I'm like, oh my God, it's her. And I'm like, I have to message her. I just have to tell her how awesome this podcast is.
That's so nice. I'm trying not to be like,
no, I love it. It's so relatable. And then I think as I'm listening and learning more and more about you guys, then when I found out you guys were like, you know, in suburbs like around me, I was like, oh my God, they live by me. This is crazy. You know, I thought you guys were like in Detroit or something. Because I think I remembered an episode you were talking about a lot of Detroit stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a Max thing.
Yeah. So literally in my head this whole time, I'm thinking you guys are from Detroit. You're not even in Illinois. So when I saw you guys were close, it was just weird how the stars aligned. It's like I found out you guys live close. Then I saw your name in this group. And then I was like, all right, I have to reach out. This is too crazy not to. So.
Well, and then I have no boundaries. I'm like, we're friends.
Okay.
We're just talking. And so like I'm jumping in and like getting in her dating life, like doing all this stuff because I don't have boundaries. But I'm like, but you know this because you listen to my show.
Yeah. And that's why I related so much to the show because everything you were saying, I'm like, yep, that's how I feel. Yep, that's my type. Yep, that's how, those are the experiences I've had. That's what I think about myself in these situations. Like everything you were saying, it felt really relatable. And I think that's what helped me because there has been so much bad in the past 2.5 years. A lot of good, but a lot of bad that has really put me back. Like it puts you back and makes you think like, what am I doing wrong? Or like, am I just putting myself out there too much? Am I being too susceptible to these men? Am I, you know, what is it about me? And it makes me, so I've been on and off of them, right? You take breaks, you get back on because it's mentally exhausting. So yeah, no.
Well, and Bianna talked about that in one of our date therapy episodes where she's like, treat it like a job interview or a job, like you're searching for a job and like allot yourself so much time when you're getting burnt out. Be like, I'm going to spend half an hour looking at this and then I'm done with it.
Yeah.
Well, you get so excited at certain points too. Like,
yeah.
I think when you first start doing it, you know, once you're like separated or divorced, and that first person that matches, you're like, oh yes, this is great. And then it's like, no.
Your inner monologue is just great. And I love every little comment Christina makes in every single episode. I love it.
Okay, I have a question for
she
you.
is all the time.
I have a question for you as a listener. Who's the funny one?
Ooh, that's mean.
Yeah, you can't say that.
Yes, I can.
We don't want to hurt your feelings.
No, it's fine. I know the answer.
Yeah,
I know the answer.
You guys are both so funny. Not to make things weird, but like Christina keeps talking about her type, right? And I keep laughing, going, "Yep, that's my type too." And so I find Max very funny because I'm into those guys that it's the one-liners. They don't say them necessarily a whole lot, but when they do,
he says them a lot.
It's thought through.
He's like this, like when we're eating dinner.
Yeah.
Like this is not just for the podcast. He's on all the time.
I believe it.
Except for when you're tired, then you're not. But
I think that's why I enjoy listening to you both, because like I relate to her as like a girlfriend. Like she's an awesome like girlfriend type to have, and we're on the same page with our wavelengths with everything. But then I really enjoy listening to Max too, because I get to hear the inner monologue and the thoughts and the opinions of a guy literally who is almost my type. Like it's just, it's pretty awesome. It's kind of perfect.
We have a lot in common, so I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
It's like I like a tall guy with a beard. I'm like,
yeah.
Same.
But your humor, Max, like just the one-liner zingers that you say.
Well, a funny guy is such a like it's mandatory for me. Like I've met guys who are nice and they're fun to talk to and stuff, but they're not funny, and it's like.
Well, and guys don't have to be necessarily like the class clown. They don't have to be the funniest in the room, but I need a guy that's going to be able to handle my sarcasm. I have sarcasm. I will say those like snarky little things to get a rise out of you, you know, like, and it's not to be mean. It's just because you just want that like playful banter in a relationship. And so when someone gets really easily offended to what I say, or they assume the worst, or like they, you know, don't respond,
don't get your jokes,
you know, to it, it's like, right. But yeah, no, you guys bounce off each other so well.
My sense of humor gets vulgar at times too, so.
But, she knows. She listens to the show.
But even off the show, like I think I've kind of toned it down,
My sarcasm gets
vulgar turn it
too.
down?
I used to do, I think that was one of the things, one of my lines on one of the dating apps was like my, you know, multiple languages is English and sarcasm.
Yeah.
But no one, you know.
That wasn't in your profile for me, because I would have been like, okay.
I put that matching together quick. I had the same 5 photos, so it would be like, I'm doing the Mexico trips because that's when I look the best.
And then, paste.
Yeah,
hooked me. I'm like, okay. All you got to do is post a picture of yourself with a beard and say your height, and I'm like, done. I don't care.
But you know, like my sarcasm is vulgar too sometimes, but I feel like in the dating and with apps, I feel like I have to wind myself back, because that's where then you attract the people that don't always respond well to it.
I would always try to get the person on the phone, because you can get a kind of sense of how they are. Like their personality comes out a little bit more, because texting, you don't know, you know, half the time what they're doing.
What bothered me the most about texting or chatting with someone way too much before actually meeting them was just that like weird sense of like violation. Like, because it's like you would relate to someone and you would chat with them and you say all these personal things about yourself. You're getting to know each other, which is great. But when you're texting for weeks and weeks before actually meeting them, then you meet them, and if they are not what you expected, you almost walk away from it like, whoa, I just told this person that I'm 100% not interested in so much about myself. Like I almost felt like just like violated. Like I just felt very like, ooh. So it kind of made me feel
that's valid.
I got to be careful about like what I say now. And that's why now I'm better at just thinking to myself, like, okay, I'll chat with you for a few days. Let's make a date. Because if you're not asking me on a date within the first few days, it's like, I'm not looking to be your pen pal. I'm not looking to give you all my information only to find out that you're not what I expected. So if you spend so much time getting to know each other on texting that when you actually meet, you're just like, okay, now what? And then you don't get that fun experience of learning about each other in person. So
yeah, absolutely. And I feel like people can be so full of shit through text. Like they can be full of shit in person too, obviously. Max did it.
But we all are, because we're always trying to impress. So
that's true.
You don't even realize you're doing it, but you just got in a routine.
I feel like you have a better read of it in person, though. Like it's harder to be fake in person.
Yeah.
So you kind of like what you see is what you get.
Well, I've just had a lot of instances of people not being what they, you know, they say they are. So I think I'm just PTSD from that. I think I just had some bad lucks of the draw. When I went into this, I was like, this is kind of nice. I get to actually like have a fresh start. I get to meet guys and have them just see like the happier, healthy version of me, you know? So I was pretty excited about it, but all these experiences.
That's a really good outlook.
Yeah, I was excited, but all the bad experiences that I was encountering was shocking me. It was putting me back several steps. It's like I would move 5 steps forwards in my self-esteem and my excitement and my positivity of like, I'm going to find my one, you know, I'm going to have my part 2 to my story. But then all these bad experiences that I've had, they set you back. They make you go like, what's wrong with me? You know, what's going on? Am I going to find somebody? Should I just give up? So, well,
I think we also like amplify things sometimes. Like we make things a bigger deal than they actually are later on.
Yeah.
So like in the moment you're like crushed and you're like, oh my God, devastated over this dude who like really didn't deserve your attention to begin with. And you're like, crying over this guy who, like, you look back a few months later and like, ew. Like, why? But it sucks. It sucks going through all these things that you've never experienced because, like, no one dated like this before. It wasn't like this when I was single. I mean, I was in high school, so obviously.
We talked about the first kiss thing. I tried every first date. I tried for a first kiss, and most of them was successful, but some of them were like, "Oh no, I don't kiss on the first date." I was like,
"This is a conversation in the parents group right now. You didn't with me, but do you ask before you kiss someone?"
I guess was that a question for you, Max? Yeah.
So my very first date when I separated, like I was feeling it, but I'm like I'm not too sure, and so I kind of went. So that was the time I was like I'm gonna kiss you. She's like okay, and then but the other ones I just kind of go in, and then you can kind of tell.
Yeah, there's a conversation about this where a guy asked, he's like, "Is it a turnoff?"
I saw that
to ask, and honestly, kind of. Like, in my opinion, like, and I get it when it comes to consent, and I get guys wanting to be sure and safe and not offend anyone or kiss someone that doesn't want to be kissed, because that's not a good thing. I don't know. I feel like if you can't read the body language or the situation, that's a turn off. The fact that you can't read that is a turn off.
You can tell if there's a vibe or not, and then you kind of go from there.
There are definitely
out the window.
There are guys that don't kiss on the first date.
I mean, I respect that. I mean, we can all have our things and our rules and our guidelines going into it, especially for men and women that have gone through some crazy experiences, right? Like, I feel like when we have rules, it's because it's happened to us, right? It's like someone ruined it for the rest. Like one guy ruined it for the rest of them. Like, so I respect like the rule. I'm with you, Christina. I feel like it's not so much that I'm turned off by it, but it says a lot about the type of man that he is. I think if he's able to, number one, read the room, because you and I are not shy girls. Like, I feel like Christina and I are pretty blunt about whether we are into somebody or not. Like, it's pretty
you're
obvious
gonna know
on our faces, how we talk, like how we engage with somebody. Like, you're gonna know. And so it says a lot about a guy, I think, to be able to know that. And then it's part of that characteristic that is in my type, right? I want a guy who, like, he's going to take action and think for himself and not need to be told what to do all the time. And so it says a lot about the guy. I don't think it's purely a consent thing. And I think it's all about how they go in for it too. I mean, you can be still cautious about it. You could still kind of go in that like 90-10, that 90% and see if she comes through the other 10%.
Right.
If she
I feel like you make the move without actually doing it, and if she's backing off.
It's like
most
that
of the time
is the consent. That is the
you
consent.
walk to the car, and I would always have a feel if like we're talking and she's like really close, like getting close to me, then that's okay. That's you're ready to go, right?
Does it look like the sun is coming
right
into the room? Okay.
All hail, like, holy Christina over here.
Yeah.
This is not better.
Are we at church right now?
Yeah.
It is Lent.
Yeah. Okay.
It's either the tilted sign or like,
it's the tilted
God
sign.
looking down on you, so it's better the two.
Right. He's judging my sign, so he's like, I'm gonna blind them all. Sorry, go ahead.
I think like going in for that 10% is what consent is. It's like if she goes in for it too, that's your consent. If she kind of goes like backs away, like
Well, you can feel it too, because like if you're out to dinner and usually you get the check and then you'll walk back to her car and you start like talking a little, you can kind of feel
for sure
if there's some sense or anything.
If she's like getting in her car real quick, she's not looking for a kiss.
So I'll tell a story. There have been a few dates where I didn't kiss someone because I wasn't feeling it. And I'm pretty like, I'm not going to kiss someone I don't want to kiss. But I went out with Christmas guy. And the first time we went on a date was like probably a month before we actually started dating. And I wasn't feeling it. I'm like, he's so nice. I liked him a lot as a friend, but I wasn't feeling it. I'm not like, ooh, excited to see him again.
Butterfly.
Did not want to kiss him. Yeah. Was not interested in him physically or anything. I'm just like, no, we're cool. Like we had a great conversation, really long date, talked, but it was like a very friend, like we're just friends. And so went to say goodbye. I gave him a side hug, not even a full hug. Just like, okay.
That's like what you do to the relative you don't like.
Right. And he even said, he's like, I could tell. Because when I texted him later on, I think he was asking me on another date. And I was like, you know what? Like, I just want to be honest with you. Like, it was so much fun talking to you and spending time with you. I kind of just feel like we're friends and nothing more. And he's like, yeah, I kind of got that vibe because I was like, bye, this is not a thing. Don't kiss me. And then we went out again later on, and we all know that story already.
Yep.
I mean, one for me, it's kind of crazy not to. I know Christina loves when I bring up previous.
Oh God, are we?
No. The one that I didn't think I was going to get a first kiss on, we ended up sleeping together. Yeah.
Which one? Oh.
The one yeah.
Well
the
done.
one that came over on a first date.
Yeah, she came over.
She went to his house on a first date.
Ooh, sketchy.
She came over. I'm like, yeah, we'll just get some Mexican food and kind of hang out in the backyard, listen to music. Usually they all say no, but it was worth a shot. She's like, all right, that sounds fine. Yeah, we were drinking some wine, eating Mexican food, and like I didn't even think anything was going to happen, and then it just like escalated really quickly. So I was like,
I don't like to judge other women, but like
I kind of do sometimes.
I feel like that should have been a red. I'm sure she's lovely, sure, or she's just naive. I feel like her saying yes to coming over is a red flag. I'd be like, do you not have like safety concerns? Yeah.
I don't think because she'd only been here for I think like a year or two.
She should have more safety concerns.
Like in our country?
Yeah, because she
should be more scared.
She came to the country because she got married, or I forgot the whole story.
Oh. Yeah, she should have higher walls.
Yeah, I mean, you should just call her like Home Run. That could be her nickname because she skipped all the bases.
Home Run. She did.
But it was like if you, I would never like. I didn't even think like I was even gonna get a kiss. Like it was just very, and it was like it escalated really quickly. And that's the thing, the perception. Like you never know. And then some of the ones you're like, oh yeah, I'm definitely getting a kiss. And like, what? Yeah. No.
I would definitely have to kiss a guy first before doing anything else because like you got to make sure they can kiss. Like that they're a good kisser.
Yes.
That's why I think I go for it because I know I'm a good kisser.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Well, for those of us with like realistic self-esteem.
Well, that's the only thing they would always tell me. It's like, you're a good kisser. You're a good kisser.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, yeah.
I'll vouch for you.
Good for you, Christina.
Yeah.
Well done.
I even try to mess up a kiss and she still enjoys it.
No, it's funny when you do that.
That's awesome.
Licking my face. I'm like,
oh my gosh. Oh gosh.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, going back to the whole like asking for permission, like it's kind of
when guys have done it to me.
Yeah.
And when they do, I giggle. It's just like
It's all about the delivery though, too.
Yeah.
If they come in and say, I'm like, he's coming in and it's like, I'm giving you a kiss, and he's kind of like not really asking you, just telling you.
Maybe. I mean, I kind of, there's a lot of girls that would not like that. I'm down for that. But
I mean, he could sort of say something first, but I've had a guy where like, instead of saying, hey, can I kiss you? Because that's weird. Like when they just look at you, can I kiss you? I feel like my kid's asking me permission to go play outside.
Yes.
Like that's
exactly
weird.
What I was going to say.
It's just really weird. But when I've had a guy actually, instead of asking me, he just kind of just went in and kind of just went like, I really want to kiss you. Like saying I really want to kiss you. That's more like intent and just more forward. So I guess as a tip to anybody who does ask, like ask that way. Don't ask like you want permission to watch TV. Like it's weird. It's
like, can I?
Yeah.
Or the lack of confidence. If it's with confidence and if it's like in a like I said, it's all about the delivery. If it's a like this is gonna happen, I just want to be respectful and get your consent
first.
To be
aware that it's going to happen too, because it's always really awkward when they go in for the kiss. So I'm a very social, bubbly person, right? Sometimes with these dates, so like I'll be laughing or I'll turn my head or I'll be really naive. Like sometimes I walk away from these dates and I think like there's no way he's into me, just because of the way they were acting during the date. But then it turns out they really were. So I could be just totally naive and not even realize he's going to come in for a kiss, and then there's that awkward like he misses you or gets your cheek or something. So I don't mind if there's like a heads up, whether it's physically or just verbally saying like, I want to kiss you or I'm
so awkward if they can't land it.
So weird.
But you're not opposing it. That's just awkward.
That's sometimes funny.
You have an awful first date and you think they're not interested and they come back like I had such a great time.
Yeah.
But I try to tell people, guys do that because if they see like in their minds, they think, can I get her in bed? Like not everyone, but like when you're dating and stuff, and like if there's a chance you're gonna stay with it, and then I mean, guys usually sometimes and girls will have multiple people on the roster, to make sure.
What? Who?
And that's actually so. If you do want me to tell a story, that's probably the one I should tell because it relates to what Max just said. I think
go for it.
When I think back to this all and how this all went down, I think that's exactly what Max I think this guy was thinking that. My coworker, my number one fan next to me, said I have to tell this story if I tell any story. Because of course I told her about this whole situation and she was geeking out and was like, can I listen? I'm like, of course you can listen.
Oh yeah, please do.
I was like, but start from episode 1 like I did. Do it the right way. So this one guy, so our nickname for him between me and that girl at work is, Ghosting 2.0. We had that typical, fairy tale love story. We matched on an app and we started chatting, and it happened to be a really busy time in my life. It was kind of this time of year. My son's birthday's coming up, and I'm a little more lenient now that he's turning 5. I've really phoned it in this year with like a bowling party. But in the past, I was that mom, right? Making all the decorations, decorating the house, making the cake, the food, the whole big party, 50 people,
God, we are the same person.
But like we have, the Pinteresty looking parties, the invites, everything had to be made by me from scratch. I've learned. But in my family and my ex's family, we have big families, big Italian families, and a lot of friends, right? So our parties were always huge. So I was having one here at my house. My house is not big by any means. So, and April being that hit or miss weather, it gave me anxiety throwing these parties. So I would have to clean out my garage, put tables and chairs in there, and everything I can do to make space. So I'm chatting with this guy that I match with, and he's doing that classic romantic, like, oh, what you up to? What's your week looking like? I'm like, so I decided to be really blunt and honest with him, because when I get really stressed and overwhelmed by like my life, my work, personal life, I tend to get a little bit more snippy in my dating chat. I tend to get a little bit more straight to the point. So he's like, how are you? And I'm like, overwhelmed. I got a lot going on. So hopefully you're patient, because I'm getting ready for my son's party and I have a lot to do these next few weeks. And he's like, well, what do you got going on? I'm like, well, he asked if I could see him that following weekend. And I said, well, no, I can't, because even though I am kidless, I need to take advantage of that time and clean my house. And I need to clean out my garage. I have stuff to put in the attic. I've got to clear out room for tables and chairs. And spring, right? You got to clean out your garage. And he goes, well, I can come help you. And at first I was like, oh, this is awesome. A man that wants to like come help me clean out my garage.
Yeah. I'd be conflicted about that.
Yeah,
Be like,
I was very conflicted. At first I was very flattered, because it's like, that's the kind of guy I'm looking for, like someone who's going to be like helpful and handy and a partner in life and stuff.
Or found murdered in your own garage.
Yeah. So I responded to him like in my sarcastic nature. Yeah, sure. Because that's not weird, having a stranger guy that I've never met before over to my house to clean my garage. Sure. I was like, cute offer. And he was like, well, we could change that. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, being strangers. And I'm like, oh, okay, good answer. Like, he's like, let's meet up. And I go, okay, how about
I like how you test guys. I like that.
I don't do it on
sarcasm.
Purpose. It's just,
yeah.
I don't know. So I liked his answer. So I was like, all right. You saved yourself. So we decided to meet on a Thursday at this bar and restaurant that's pretty close to us. And I was really excited about this guy because I thought he was really cute. He's only like 2 towns over from me. I mean, the distance is killer, right?
That's nice. Yeah.
I'm like Max. I wish they were just closer to me. I don't want to go into the city. I don't want to go very far, but I'm also just trying to be very open-minded to love and life and my second story. So, I mean, the last guy I dated was like an hour and a half away. It was rough, but I feel like if it's worth it, you'll make it work. Right. So I keep myself open-minded.
You can just move in with them too. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, just move in with them. It helps.
Yeah.
Yeah. That too.
I was far. I was like, I'm just going to live here.
It just makes things easier.
Sure.
But I was optimistic about this guy. I get to the bar. So we're texting back and forth the days leading up to this, right? Not too much, because I even told him at the beginning, I'm overwhelmed. I have work. I have a lot going on. Like, I'll chat with you, but not, all day long. And he's like, yeah, I don't like that anyways. I'm like, okay, perfect. But he was still giving me that like good morning text, which again, it's not mandatory for all you people out there dating on the apps. You don't have to do the everyday good morning text, but it is sweet, as long as you don't expect a full-blown conversation the whole day through it. Because that's what I hate, is that it's good morning and I go, good morning to you too. Have a good rest of your day. I'll check back in with you later tonight at 7. Like, I don't need to chat with you all day while I'm at work.
I do.
Yes, you do.
If there's something interesting going on, yeah, right? Like talking about something. I mean, I did it with you, Christina, for like half my morning one day. I hope no one at work.
I know, I love that.
I literally had
my new best friend.
I can't text that fast, by the way. I had like Facebook up on one screen, my contracts on the other.
That's hilarious.
So
that's amazing.
It was intense. So, but I'll do that for you, girl. So we'd agreed on this spot. I get ready. We have my whole day at work. We don't talk too much. I get ready. I get there. I kind of pull up and I text him, hey, I'm pulling up. I get nothing back. Okay, hey, I'm going to go inside. get nothing back. I go inside, I sit down, I look around, I don't see him. I go in and I sit at the bar. I say, hey, just so you know, I'm at the bar. I get nothing back. 5 minutes goes by, I order a drink. And so I'm sitting there, 10 minutes goes by. It took me until 15 minutes where I was like, oh my God, is it happening? Is this it? Is this what it's like to be, stood up? And I was pretty bummed about it at first. And then I was like, you know what? I could go home right now. And then I was like, but no, I look cute. I'm like, I had a long day at work. I have a really good drink. I don't have a kid tonight. I can have a meal that I didn't cook. So I'm like, forget it. I'm just going to stay here. So I stayed at the bar. I ordered some food. I'm talking to the bartender. He was pretty nice, taken, but nice. And all of a sudden,
that would have been a really cute story.
I know, right? Oh,
and now we're married.
No, I actually have a different story if we have time that is pretty funny on that note too. So he finally texts me and he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I fell asleep after work on my couch and I totally lost track of time and I didn't realize what time it was. And okay, This is my biggest flaw, everybody. I am that person that likes to believe the good in everybody, right? I give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Life happens. I try not to instinctively assume or judge. And he has one of those jobs, like your construction, you're outside. He has to get up at 4 or 5 in the morning every day. So he gets off at 3 in the afternoon. So it was plausible. I was like, okay. He's like, are you still there? But I didn't want to sound desperate. I'm still waiting here for you for 40 minutes. So I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm still here. I ordered food for myself, but I might be here for another 20 minutes if you want to come. And so he's like, yeah, I'll be there. I'm like, okay. So I'm at the bar and then all of a sudden, just people grabbing chairs and I'm talking to the bartender and he was really nice. And all of a sudden I'm on my phone. Someone just grabs the seat next to me at the bar. So I kind of had that RBF going on and I looked over just kind of who are you taking the seat next to me? It was him. So I was like, oh, and I was like, hi. And he's like, hi. And so he apologizes. I was kind of disappointed. This should have been the red flag here too, right? He's in a sweatshirt and just kind of, you could tell he rolled off the couch. So, but he still was kind of cute. And I was like, all right. So we ended up having a great night. We were there till they closed the bar down, had amazing conversation. He was funny. He bounced off my sarcasm really well. I was, everything was great. Even the bartender was talking to us because he laughed. He's like, she looked pissed. He told the guy, he's like, she looked pissed at you. Who the hell are you? So we kind of joked around all night about it. It was just an inside joke that he was late for our first date, So we started dating. We start seeing each other. He comes over that following weekend, helps me clean out my entire garage.
Oh, nice.
And we had fun. I had this giant Connect 4 game in the garage. We had some beers. We had music playing. We actually had so much fun cleaning out my garage for our second date. And then we had a few more dates. We started dating. And then he starts to get flaky about the next time we're going to hang out. I made a comment about hey, how about I can come by your house? Because he said he had this house in this town neighboring me. So I'm like, okay. And he told me this story on our first date about how he got the house. He said that the house was his parents' house, the childhood home they grew up in that his dad built. They're snowbirds, so they go to Florida. Max already knows where this is going. So he said he bought the house from his parents and that it's his house now because they were going to sell it because they didn't want to maintain it when they're in Florida all the time. They want to get something smaller. And he told me exactly where this house was, told me the neighborhood, the street, what it looks like, showed it to me on a Google map, everything, right? So I was like, okay. So he got a little flaky when I asked him about going over to his place. And then all of a sudden he was sick on the night we were supposed to hang out because he said yes. But then on that night or the day leading up to that night, I know I'm sick. Oh, okay. Well, have a good night. I don't want to bother you. Then the next day that we were supposed to hang out, he was sick again. And I'm like, well, do you want me to come by you? I'll hang out with you if you're sick. I don't care. I'll take care of you. I'm one of those girls.
Mm-hmm.
And
it doesn't always work out.
I know. I hear again, super relatable.
Then it does.
Super relatable podcast.
Just don't give the guy shingles.
I didn't give you shingles. It wasn't my fault.
I didn't hear this part.
You keep saying that I gave him shingles. I did not give you shingles.
That's not how that works.
The dog gave you shingles. The stress from having a new dog.
Yeah.
And the kids and all the stuff.
Yeah, that's not how that works.
I was the most pleasant part. You're I can delete that.
Right when
part.
the light hits you. Hallelujah.
So I was kind of getting the weird feelings. Why is he bailing on me? He's putting me off. And then he ghosted me. He just eliminated contact. Didn't respond to me the next day.
Wait, you were full on dating this guy.
We were dating for a few weeks. We were.
By the way, he lives with his parents. I don't know the story, like what he's doing, because I pulled that when I first came back from Michigan.
Yeah. Yeah, that was it. So, but it gets messier than that. But like, I guess, so he ghosts me, but I'm naive. This is early in dating for me. I'm naive. I'm thinking he lives alone in this house. And I'm like, he's sick. What if something's wrong with it? Like, I was
I would have done the same thing.
so, okay, this is going to paint a really bad story on me. I'm not crazy. I just want to premise this right now. I'm not crazy. These are the kind of things you only see in movies, right? But like I told my coworker about this. She's like, yeah, that sounds like maybe something's like wrong with him. I'm like, maybe, I don't know. He didn't block my number. He didn't like remove me off of because he's on like, my Snapchat. Like he didn't remove me or anything, but he's just completely ignoring me. So I was just like, what's going on? Maybe something's wrong with him. So like that night, I was supposed to see him like that next night or something like that, and I didn't have my kid that night, and I was driving past his neighborhood, his road, on my way home from work, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll just go check in on him, like the good old days in the movies where you just knock on someone's door. Which makes me sound so crazy. I've never done this in my entire life. I was shaking.
I love this story so much.
I could tell it was his house because he had a work like truck or van that was very distinctive. Like I knew it was his, right? And he'd showed me the house on his phone before. So I pull up, I see his car, I see his truck, like I see everything. So I'm like, well, he's home. And I'm like, so I go knock on the door. His mom answered. It was the most awkward moment of my life. She's like, hi. I'm like, hi, is so here? And she's like, I told,
you're in high school.
I told you I had
Can Timmy come outside and play?
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm shaking. I am shaking right now. So I'm like, she looks at me like, yeah, who are you? And I'm like, oh, and I just said my name. You know, I'm Chrissy. I just said his friend. I was like, I'm his friend Chrissy, because I don't know what he's told them about me.
Right.
But at this point, I've already like gotten the door answer, so I can't like run away now. So I power through, and she goes upstairs. Like I hear her. She's gone for a minute. She like goes and walks. She comes back to the door, and she goes, "Oh, he's not here." And in my mind, I'm like, is that shithead like upstairs telling his mom to like lie for him right now? I'm like, I feel like I'm in high school right now. This is insane. So I go, oh, okay, no problem. And I just start, she goes, then she proceeds to go, oh, he just went out with his dad. I thought they were still here, but they're not here anymore. Him and his dad ran to the store. I was like, oh, okay. I'm like,
too many details. You're lying.
I'm like, well, whose car? Like, so I just went, okay, well, sounds good. And she's like, well, do you want me to let him know that you stopped by? I'm like, yeah, sure. You do you. I don't really care. So I leave and I'm like, holy crap. My heart was pounding. I'm like, well, that answers that. He lives with his parents. Mm-hmm. Like, that's why he was being flaky, you know, but it hurt. Like, I really liked him. And I'm like, but why? Like, why lie about that?
Right.
So ironically, of course, later that night, obviously he comes home, the mom tells him, because then he texts me finally. And he's just like, hey, I heard you came to my house. And I'm like, yeah, I did. And I was like, what's going on? And he's like, well, obviously you can see I lied and my parents are still at the house. And I was like, yeah. And I'm like, why did you lie about that? I'm like, because I'm divorced too. Like, I understand we're in our 30s and 40s and stuff, and it's not ideal to be living with our parents, but like, I get it. Divorces don't always pan out the way you expect financially or with your custody of your children or just logistically. I'm like, so if it just means you have to stay with your parents a little bit until you fill your life out, that's fine. But just as long as you have that ambition and that like thought process of like, I want to get out of here, you know, this isn't my own game. Because that's the problem with a guy I was dating for several months after my divorce, was that he was living with his parents, but he just had no sign of like leaving anytime soon. Mm-hmm. And that put me off. So he told me, he said, well, on our date, he's like, you mentioned that about one of your exes, about how he lived with his parents still, and that you weren't fond of that. And I'm like, right, but you misread what I said. I wasn't just saying that was the deal breaker. I continued to date him for 6 months. I'm like, it was just that I could tell after 6 months he had no desire to leave or have responsibility. He wasn't making any effort for himself. Right.
Progress. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's like, I was just really embarrassed. I'm like, why did you lie? He's like, I just didn't want to tell you. And you know, it's partially true. I did want to buy the house from them. They are snowbirds that go to Florida, but he's like, with the market, he's like, and what they wanted to sell it for, he's like, I couldn't afford it. He goes, so what they did instead was they had him move in to like watch the house while they're gone. So for like 6 months out of the year, it is just him alone in the house, but he doesn't own the house. Like, so I was just kind of like, okay, so here's me. This was probably my big mistake. You know, shame on me. I gave him the benefit of the doubt and said, look, I really like you. I thought we really had something, because we'd gotten physical, like everything, right? And every box was being checked. He was a great guy. And I was like, I will give you a shot here if you want. I'm like, or if you're just not interested, just say so. Like, now's your chance. Like, you have a free, like, pass. Like, if you're not interested, just say so now and I'll never talk to you again. But he's like, no, I really like you. You're amazing. And I'm like, okay, well then let's give this a shot. But lying is a huge, big deal to me. Like, and to most people, right? Like, that should be like rule number one. So it's like, just don't ever lie to me again. Like, just be honest with me. And I'm like, you can see how forgiving of a person I am, right? You can see how realistic I am. Like, you should know that if you tell me something that you think is going to be bothering me, I'm not going to go crazy on you. So he's like, yeah, you're right. So we gave it a shot. We continued. He had me meet his son really quickly. Wow. I hadn't haven't met mine yet, but he let me come to like a park with them, and I met his son. He made comments about like, oh, when you meet my ex, like at a basketball game or something for his son. Like, he was seeming really serious with me again. We dated for several more weeks. I started telling my family about him. I was super excited. We were spending a lot of time together. And then he ghosted me again on Mother's Day.
What?
I asked him what Mother's Day plans were coming up. And you know me, like, I don't expect anything from him. Like, I'm not his mother. Like, that holiday isn't meant for couples. But it's like, if you're dating a mother, probably say Happy Mother's Day, flowers, like something, just to identify that she's a mother. Not that she's your mother, but like, just, And I told him, I have plans with my family and my son. Like, he said his sister was flying in town from Florida, like that he had family in town. And I go, okay, great. I'm not expecting to see you. That's okay. If we can see each other, I'm free. Like, hit me up, let me know. And he's like, okay, I'll let you know. The day before, I'm like, so how are things going? He's like, good. We're just barbecuing, me and my family. Oh, that's great. Awesome. I was like in Indiana visiting a friend, and I'm sending him snaps of like things that we're doing. Like, hey, he left his hoodie in my car. I'm like, hey, wearing your hoodie. Thanks for that, because I didn't bring one and it's cold in Indiana over here. And he's like, great, awesome. I'm glad you could use it. Like, literally to the minute of this happening, completely natural.
Right.
All of a sudden, I'm talking to my friend in Indiana. She's asking about him. Hey, where did he go to school? And I'm like, oh, I don't really remember. I'm like, honestly, that's never been something we've talked about, because I don't really care either way. So I was like, let me go look at his profile. Maybe it says on his profile where he went to school without me looking dumb and asking him. I go to look and find him it was Hinge. I met him. He had removed me. He'd unmatched me. And I was like so blindsided. I was like, what? So then I go to text him, and he doesn't text me back. And I texted him a few more times at night, complete concern, just being like, are you okay? Are things fine? Like, I don't expect to see you, but like, are you okay? Nothing. And this was like, and then that next morning on Mother's Day, like, he just completely ghosted me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you haven't heard from him since?
He texted me, like, I want to say a few weeks later, just being like, hey, or no, what was it? No. So Mother's Day morning, sorry, he did text me. He eventually, because in the morning, I'm like, is something wrong? Are we over? This is your way of dumping me again? Am I being ghosted again? And that's when he said, oh, hey, sorry, I've been busy, but happy Mother's Day. I'll be grilling with my family today. Like, have a good rest of your day. And I was like, oh, okay, great. And then that was the last text I got from him. So then he didn't answer his phone. He blocked my number, removed me off Snapchat, removed me off Hinge, everything. Completely did the works this time. And I was like, okay. So then like a couple of weeks, or maybe it was it was a couple of months later. It's all a blur.
Oh. Yeah.
A couple of months later, I saw him. I ran into him at that same bar that we met at for our first date. I was on another date. I was on a date with somebody else. It was like our second date. And we sit down, and I'm looking, and across the bar, I see him in a booth with some other girl. And I was like, oh. So I looked at him once. I was like, nope, Chrissy, don't do it. Like, you're on a date with a different guy who's great. Like, just don't look at him ever again. So I ignored him the rest of the night, didn't look their way, played dumb. Like,
good
I didn't
for
even
you. I would have gone over there and been like, hey.
Yeah.
Here's your fucking sweatshirt. Yeah.
Oh, I sold his sweatshirt for $1 in a garage sale. So
did you really?
For sure. Yeah.
That's awesome.
We have a neighborhood garage sale here that I do every year, especially with my son's like stuff that he's growing out of.
I love that.
And I found this sweatshirt and I just like hung it up and sold it for $1. So yeah, but he ended up, I saw him leave the restaurant with the girl, but I pretended I didn't see him. He texts me. I didn't even know he still had my number at this point because it had been months. He texted me and was just like, have a good night on your date. And I was like, I texted him back like, how do you know I'm on a date right now? And he's like, well, I just assumed I saw you at Old Republic with a guy. Watch, he's the guy that like recommended this podcast to me.
Yeah.
Surprise. So yeah, and I chatted. I was like, why? You know, oh, I'm sorry. I just got scared. I got overwhelmed. You're such an amazing woman. Things were so real.
This,
so
we
fast.
always.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yours
is just too good for me.
Yeah, you're just so amazing. You deserve so much better than me. Okay, great. Yeah. Well, you're not wrong. I do, but. So yeah, nope, that's it. Then nothing since then. But I got ghosted twice. Wow. Like that was brutal.
Dick.
Yeah, that was brutal. And I'm gonna run into him because he lives like, you know, like I know in that bar. I like to go to that bar in that restaurant.
Yeah,
he goes there.
I'm glad that you didn't stop going there though.
No,
because I mean, like, I went
on those single parent group events to that place. So I'm like, I don't care. So,
yeah.
No, I think if I were to see him again, I wouldn't get mad. It would just be like, whatever, dude. You do you.
What a weird way to end something.
That one's the one that like really set me back. That made me go like, why am I doing this? Are all guys going to be like this? It really just messed with me because I fell so hard for him so fast. I still played it cool. I didn't like make it too known I felt so fast for him. But my family knew. My cousin, who's like a sister to me, I told her, I'm like, he's amazing. I really like him. And so it was just embarrassing. That's the worst part is when you tell your family you're talking about somebody and it doesn't work out. And then you just look like an idiot. Like, oh, another one. Chrissy went.
Well, I spent the holidays with one.
Yeah. The comment you made about like taking the bartender's number. So I met this one guy in like DeKalb and he was the classic, like he was really sweet and chatty, planned a date with me. All his pictures, he seemed pretty good looking. I wouldn't say like amazingly hot, but like good looking. Well, first thing you should rule of thumb, right? You have to make sure that you see them without a hat and when they smile. Well, I learned that the hard way because I didn't see him smile. And he said he was a chef. And I was like, oh, interesting. And then as we're chatting, he's saying how he's planning the menu for the week, you know, and like handling some catering things. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. Like a chef. And I'm like, in DeKalb? I'm like, where in DeKalb would you be a chef for?
Is he a line cook?
Oh, works for the university.
So I met him at a bar, and here's the worst part of it too. So many bad things about this date. I told him he wanted to meet with me that week. He was really eager. And I said, hey, look, I'm actually on this, like, I was doing this like 10-day cleanse. I've had some stomach issues. So I was trying to do this like 10-day cleanse that involves no alcohol, certain foods, everything. So I said, hey, look, I can go on a date with you now, but I can't drink and I can't eat because I have to stick to my plan. Or you can wait till the 10 days is up and I'll have a drink with you next week. He's like, well, I'll see you now. It's okay. You don't have to drink or anything. And I'm like, okay, great. So then we get closer to the time of the day. Hey, where are we meeting? Oh, well, wherever you think. I don't really know. Okay, great. Sure. And that's the worst part too. All these guys, they always do the whole like, well, I don't really know what's in your area. I'm like, well, Google does. So
yeah,
figure it out. But
it's all about effort.
Yeah. So I picked this pub that I knew about because a friend's like family owns it. So I was like, let's go there. So he goes, okay. I walk in, he shows up. He smiles. He has like missing half his teeth.
Oh no.
Like, oh no. I was like, what did I just sign up for? Sorry. And he didn't look nearly as like buff in his pictures in like real life. Like it's like you could tell the angles were just like he was super scrawny and like just I was like, oh no. So then he like
photoshopped.
Yeah, it was bad. And so he's like missing half his teeth. He sits down and I really had hope for this one because he was sending me like, I really like country music and he was sending me like songs that he likes that are country that were super sweet and romantic. And I'm like, oh, this guy, we share a good interest. Like, yeah. So he sits down, he starts talking about his work more. And by the way, he talked about his work the entire date, but he wasn't some like 5-star chef. He was like a fry cook. Like he fries fish and fries at like a deli and like rents out deli equipment. Like I was like, that's not, again, I'm not judging, like have whatever job you have, but like, don't make it sound like you're this awarded chef.
That's not a chef.
Runs
it's like your friend, a sommelier, but he works at Binny's.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, he said he's a sommelier.
And he worked at Binny's. Like, yeah, sure, yeah. Every sommelier starts at the wine help desk. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good one. I'll give him that one. That's creative.
That's so cool. Like, wait, that's the way to my heart.
That's amazing. How perfect. Match made in heaven.
Yeah.
So I already know this date is done, right? Like before it even starts. He sits there. The guy walks up. Can I take your guys' order? So I say, yeah, I'll take a water because I can't eat or drink. He goes, I'll have the same. I like stared at him like, you're not going to, I'm like, you can get a drink. Just because I can't drink doesn't mean you can't drink. No, I'm fine. I don't really drink much anyways. I looked at him. Why are we at a bar? Like, I'm like, okay. And he's like, okay. Then he like awkwardly just, the guy's looking at us like, so you both are just going to get waters?
Right. So you take up one of my tables? Sure. Thanks.
I'm like, I'm not about to be one of those people. Like, I panicked. I'm like, so I had to cave and I got like a seltzer or something that wouldn't completely break my cleanse too much. I was like, yeah, I'll take like a seltzer. And then the guy's like, I thought you couldn't drink. I'm like, well, I can't, but I kind of feel like I have to take one for the team now, like, because you won't order anything. And he just looked at me like, oh, okay. Like, wasn't even.
Should have been like, fry me up something.
Yeah. So there was a country artist singing there that night, like not just like a cover, just a one-man band, one guy with a guitar singing some country, covers in the corner of the room. And he's kind of like right in front of me across the bar where I can see him, like we're kind of face to face. And he could tell, like I kept looking at him. I liked how he sung. His singing was great. And he was pretty cute. I was like, hey. So as this guy's talking to me about all this fish that he fries, I'm staring at this guy singing, just mesmerized by his voice. He's looking at me. And then I keep looking back at the guy to not be totally rude as he's talking. And I'm not going to lie. I have RBF sometimes. Like if you can tell, like this guy should know not to kiss me, right? Like I was bored. I was kind of like yawning. I was kind of like, looking around the room a lot while he's talking, just very uninterested. I think the singer could tell. So he's looking at me a lot while he's singing. He gets done. He goes to talk to some friends that are clearly people he knows at a table. And he was giving business cards to like one or two people. So I was so done with this date. And this guy wouldn't end it. He wouldn't stop talking. He wouldn't get the hint. Like he wouldn't leave yet. So I finally go, hey, you know what? I'm going to go talk to that singer because he was really great and I want to get his card. And he's like, oh, okay. So I get up just as an excuse to leave the table. And I go to this guy and I'm like, hey, like I'm in events and, and things like that. Like you're a great singer. I'd love, where else do you play? And he told me where. And then I'm like, can I have your card just to have it? And I can give it to local bars by like my area for you to sing at. He's like, that would be amazing. He's like, could you? And I'm like, sure. So he gives me his card. I go back to the table. You guys, this date was so bad and I was so done, but I couldn't like get this guy to take the hint. I was saying things. I was, asking for the check to pay for my one drink. I tipped the guy like 200%. I felt so bad.
That's really nice of you.
I think I bought 3 more drinks. Like I felt so bad. And I texted the singer. I was like, hey, thanks for your card. You were really great tonight. You really saved me from this date. Like this was the best part of my date. He's like, yeah, you looked pretty miserable. He's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay, but this guy still isn't left yet, but he's about to. He's just like, well, he's like, you should. He's like, leave. He's like, I'm outside still. He's like, I haven't left yet. I was talking to a friend. I'm like, okay. This guy finally gets up and walks out with me. And he's like, okay, have a good night. Goes in for like a hug. And I almost think for more, but I could not make it more physically clear I wasn't interested. So he finally walked away. And this guy ended up walking back up and going back into the bar. And we sat at the bar and had another drink together.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was nice. It didn't work out. Like, nothing came of it, but it was a good save for the night for a really awkward date.
So it wasn't a terrible date because
another one opens.
Yeah. I mean, that one also
you got a mini date out of it.
Yeah, that other one shut. But I was flattered that like some country singer wanted to have a drink with me. So
it's like having 2 dates lined up in the same day, right?
I guess so.
Stop.
Without having to plan it.
Well, it happens. That's awkward, Max.
Yeah, it was bad. So now you have to smile. I have to see you with your hat off, like everything. It's intense.
Did you just show everyone your teeth?
I mean,
she's not talking to you.
You're off the market, Max, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
I just love how people lie about their height because I just that is to me the dumbest thing in the world.
He was pretty short too. This no teeth guy, like he might have been lying about his height too. Not shorter than me, but shorter than what he said.
I feel like if you have a really distinct physical feature that is going to take people aback.
Yeah.
That, like, I get, like, he probably doesn't want to post pictures with his messed up teeth. You kind of have to.
Yeah.
Because how many times has a date gone wrong because he opened his mouth and they're like, whoa, 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 whoa.
I want fun banter. I want you to laugh at my jokes, my dumb, sarcastic jokes. So I'm going to see you smile eventually.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, it was bad.
No, that's a deal breaker for a lot of people. So like,
yeah. I'm also a local story at a bar down the street now. I just found
fun.
out. This is how bad the dates are going. Like I'm a story now that a bartender tells people. Like I went on a date at a bar down the street with a guy who was local also. He was living like out of a hotel though, due to custody arrangements and just moving out from far away. Like it made sense because people are like a hotel, and I'm like, it made sense. And I met him at this restaurant. We're having a good date. I had just gotten out. This was right after I broke up with somebody back in January. So I was kind of on the rebound, but I was still open-minded. Like I wanted to meet for genuine reasons, but I wouldn't have been bummed if it was just like a rebound.
Right. Rebounds work out sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
And
it's not really a rebound. I only dated the guy for 3 weeks.
It's not. That's the exception. So I could tell in this date the way it was going, I could tell he wasn't the one. I could tell he wasn't someone I wanted to continue to see. But he was like still good looking, and he was just a fun guy. But he started getting really like handsy. Like I could tell what was on his mind. I could tell he might have wanted this to just be like a one nighter or a rebound. So because I could tell that, I'm like, okay, well, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Towards the end of the date, throughout the date, he was kind of douchey with a lot of the things he was saying. But I just didn't care. I didn't care enough about what he was saying anymore. But the waitress could hear a lot of the things we were saying. So I would make sarcastic jokes to some of his responses, and I'd really push his buttons. But he'd be like, I like that. I like that about you. I like that you're sassy and pushing my buttons. And I'm like, all right, cool. Well, towards the end, the check comes, and he kind of looks at me, and he's just like, okay. He's like, well, your half is this much. So in my mind, again, women power, whatever. Like I'm fine with splitting my way for a check. I was a little more caught off guard because it's like, if you thought this was going to go lead where you thought it was going to be, you should pay for the check. If you just didn't feel us and you thought this was more of like a really bad first date, like I can understand wanting to split the check. Like I get it. I didn't argue, but I kind of made like a, oh, okay. So I paid, no argument, no complaint. He then proceeds to see my face and my comment and just kind of like got defensive real quick about it. And I'd already paid at this point, right? Like I'm not arguing yet. He then proceeds to argue with me, like starts to tell me why he's in the right and why it's, it's ridiculous that it's expected that we're supposed to pay for all the dates. And like, it just gets into this like terrible political argument about the right and the wrong. And I'm
He's
like,
douchey, yeah.
And I just kept going to him, I don't care. I was like, dude, it's fine. Let it go. It's okay. Well, no, but I could tell that it bothered you. And I literally was like, well, yeah, this isn't going to go where you think it's going to go, but sure.
No,
like,
especially now.
Yeah. I was challenging him. Like I wasn't fighting with him, but I was just kind of like, dude, let it go. Drop it. Like, it's fine. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Meanwhile, the waitress is hearing this. The bartender's walking by and hearing this. So everyone hears this. We leave. I don't think about this ever again. I go to this same bar again with a different first date, like a match I met a few weeks later. I go on a first date here. It's a random weeknight because it's when I'm only free and there's nobody there. It's like one person at the bar, the bartender, and us. And we're giggling. We're having a good date. It's going really well. I told him some of my bad stories, told him about the No Dick Pics podcast, of course.
Hey, Max did that.
Yeah. So, and he's like, he started listening to it, by the way. He's listening to it.
That's awesome.
And we're having a good, fun, like, hearted conversation. I made the joke about whether he's going to pay for the bill, and he's like, well, now that I know that you're a girl that's willing to pay for your half, he's like, you pay for your half. So he kept smiling as he's saying that. So eventually he takes the check, he walks up to the bar, he's paying for it all. But I'm making jokes to him, like sarcastically about it. The bartender hears it, he starts laughing. And the one guy's like, she's had terrible experience with guys. I'm going to, not all guys are like this, obviously. And, he's making smart comments. The bartender goes, yeah, you guys should have seen this one couple that was here a few weeks ago. They were all the way back at this table over here. And the guy argued with her about paying the bill. And he's like, they argued for like 5-10 minutes. And they were like, he was such a douchebag to her the whole date too. He's like, and they left together. I don't know. And I literally stared at him the whole time he's telling my date this story. And I look at him and he's smiling. I go, yeah, that was me. He's like, what?
That's funny.
Over there at that table? And I'm like, yeah, that was me. And he goes, wait, that was you. Your hair was straight at the time. I'm like, yep, that was me.
That's hilarious.
Now
I would always pay. I mean, they would interject. Oh, no. I'm like, yeah, at least like the first couple dates, I would always pay. There'd be no questions asked. Like, that's just, I mean.
I do the fake, like,
Do you
wanna
want money? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do the reach, but I don't really want to reach. First guy I went out with, I was like, okay. I'm like, that was a test. But then
There's like a TikTok or something going around where it's always like, the bill comes and he goes to like his data, like, are you coming back to my place? And she says like, no. He's like, yeah, we'll split it.
What you're about to say.
No. Relax. Chill out.
It's totally a test, though. I mean, like, I don't know. Like I said,
it didn't change anything for me though, because that was 8 day. I was like, okay, and then I kept. So it didn't stop me.
He wanted you to pay for it because he loved you so much.
Yeah, he loved me so much. He broke up after I slept with him. That was awesome. Great ego. Great introduction to dating.
Yeah. That's rough. But it is kind of a test. I mean, I don't know. I struggle with that because I don't want these guys to think I'm in for money. I don't want guys thinking I'm looking for that I'm looking to be taken care of. I'm a very independent person. I feel like most single moms become independent regardless whether they want to be. Like,
I feel like it's not that you want to be taken care of or anything, but if they're asking you out, I know we all know this. So I guess I just want, like, if he invited you out, I feel like he should pay. You know what I mean? If you invited him out, then sure.
Just be a gentleman and pay. I mean, it's not like you're going to like a 5-star restaurant where it's like,
right,
$300.
You were at a pub, like down the street.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't Cooper's Hawk.
That's where I went with 8 day. Yeah. He made me pay.
He didn't make Cheesecake Factory.
No.
Yep.
I've never had a date at a Cheesecake Factory before.
Oh, Max did. Then he married her, and then he brought me there with her and reminded us that was our first date.
But you can't be mad about it because it's all part of your story. Because
it is.
That didn't happen.
It was just weird.
You wouldn't be together.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like I picked it. The kids were like, "We want to go to cheesecake." So
I picked it. I had no idea. And you're like, "This is a full circle moment."
That is bizarre.
That's so weird for me.
I would have felt weird in that moment too. When you were saying that, I was like, I felt bad because I could tell, and like Max made it. It's like you could tell you were being a little defensive because you didn't want people to think that you were upset. Because it's like, no, you're not upset about it. Like,
no, it's just weird.
You guys are at a good place with your relationship and his ex-wife, but it's like, it is weird. It's weird.
Yeah. Like, oh, how nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm part of this story.
Pick a different place.
Memories.
I didn't know. You could have told me that when I picked the place. We're not going to have a fight. Our first fight on this podcast.
Let's have a fight.
I mean, you didn't even fight for your breakup.
No, we didn't.
Which, by the way, I really appreciate you not telling me. Like, because when I messaged Christina out of the blue, geeking out as a fan groupie over here, I was only on episode like 12 or something, or 13. So you guys had broken up. I was sad about it. I got over it. I was still hoping. And then...
Yeah, she's asking me if I'm actively dating.
Yeah, she said she was.
I'm seeing someone.
And I was like, okay, good for you, girl. Like, in my heart, I was like, aw, I was really hoping you'd hold out for Max. But then I was like, okay, good for you, girl. And then, so I loved it. I love that you didn't say anything because I like that I got to find out. Like,
you know what I love? That, like, you didn't pick up on it. Because we were very obvious.
It's kind of embarrassing.
A lot of it. But I love that you didn't pick up on it until we actually openly talked about it.
I had a feeling. Like, I had the weird gut, like, I wonder if they're back together or on the way to being back together. Like, because you guys kept saying how like great of friends you were and how your friendship was never better, better than it ever was. And I was happy to hear that. But part of me was just like, come on, guys. Like,
it's because we were still hooking up.
Friendship was great. I love a friendship like that.
And you didn't answer that one question with your truth or dare, like your truth or drink. I was like 100% they're hooking up. 100%. And I wasn't judging you for it. And I still would have, I still didn't assume that you'd gotten back together.
Yeah.
But like.
Okay, so I have a story because, and I would just love to see your reaction to it. We got a question from actually an old friend of mine. She listens to the show too. And I thought she would just text me this, but I had put out there, like, does anyone have any questions? She said, hang on, I'll pull it up. I'm not prepared.
Is this a really good friend?
We were friends like back in the day, and like we're just still like in each other's lives, but she listens to the show.
It's not one of her 14 best friends.
Her board of directors?
Yeah.
He's 12.
I've never seen someone with so many best friends. I was like, wow.
I don't know.
13 now. I got Chrissy.
Good for you.
I was just going to say, like, I hope I'm in that count now because I've never had anyone so devoted to my, like, love life lately. It's really refreshing.
I'm very, very invested. All right. So she said, what did Max mean when he said you came running home during the softball guy story? And I guess we had said we would talk about it, and then we just didn't say anything about it.
Yeah. But see,
so
I took that as, like, she ran back home to get some. Like, I didn't think.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if I had somebody that I was in a relationship with, and then we broke up and we decided to still stay friends, like, you know.
So in that moment, we had no, like, discussion about friends with benefits or anything. Like, we were just friends because I was going on this date with this guy. And at the time, Max was like, I think this is going to work out for you. Like, he was convinced that I was going to date this guy. Did not go well. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good. And
you knew towards the end, like the last day or two, you were kind of
before the date. I'm like, and I'm with Max the whole time. And I'm like, this guy is he's either full of shit or he's the best guy ever. But my bullshit meter was going off because he was just everything he said. He said the perfect response to everything. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, so with Max, hanging out with Max, telling him the stuff so he knows every detail of what's going on.
Be bizarre. Did you like that, Max? Like,
I don't know. I was trying to, like, I mean, part of me didn't like it, but part of me is like, you know, I mean, if she meets someone, you know, then it might, you know, slap some reality back into me. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
At that time, it was like, I wasn't sure, but yeah, it was like hearing how, like, Gaga, she was after him, and then I remember she would always be like, oh no, but this is for content. This is for content, you know. I was like, I don't know.
Did I say it's for content? That's terrible.
because
there was another date. There was another date you were going to go on.
That was for content.
Yeah,
that one was for content. Yeah.
It was weird. I mean, we weren't like, we were kind of broken up. I mean, like, obviously I still liked her.
We were fully broken up.
Yeah.
At that time, yeah.
But that was my point. Like, because I was a naive listener and didn't know if anything was going on behind the scenes with you two and thought you genuinely were just really good friends, when I heard you, like, talking about these dates with him afterwards, I'm like, man, how, like, Max must be really completely over her if he's super comfortable with this, because any guy that has any lingering, like, did I make the right choice in dumping her or not, I feel like would feel really awkward in those situations.
You know, it's not stuff that you love to hear.
Yeah.
But then it was just kind of like, and so this one, like, I really thought, like, and that's where I was torn, because she was really, like, she really liked him in the beginning, but then, like, the last couple days leading up to it, she was just kind of like, I don't know, because her comment was, he keeps trying to have me come over, even before our first date, so I was like, well, we know what he wants, but...
I had, like, a heart, like, I kept saying, like, I'm a good time, you know, but, like, you need to take me on a date first. I'm not going to come over and hang out at your house before our date. We're going on a date first. And I had made that very clear, and he had asked me 3 times, you should just come over. I'm like, still no.
It's kind of lazy.
Yeah.
I get it that we're in that world of dating now where it's, like, normal to Netflix and chill, I guess. But, like, it's not just the safety part. It's also the lazy part. It's like, it's like, I'm not worth
like, buy
just,
me
like...
dinner.
And plus, someone vouched for him, so talk about a full circle story, right?
We're not going to talk about that.
Oh, okay.
No.
Cut this part out.
But, like, I go on this date. It's not great. It's not terrible, but I was just very, like, disappointed. Because I was, like, I was really, like, trying to be open to it. And so I'm in Palatine. Because the guy lives down the street.
Sending boomerangs on it just to get me a little...
Yeah. Oh, of course I posted about it. I posted my stories because, of course. Did that bother you?
No, I was like, I don't know. Well, no, a little bit. Like, I'm like, I hope they're not having too much of a good time. But, you know.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I wasn't, you know.
Right?
But it's not a great date. And I'm sitting in my car and I'm like, I don't want to go home. Like, I was going to go, the plan was for me to go home. Like, I wasn't planning on going back to Max's house. But I'm down the street. I'm literally 5 minutes away.
It's kind of be rude if you
and
did.
I'm like, I'm like, can I come over? And he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, can I come over? And he's like, yeah, of course. So I went over and never left.
That's
what I tell him. Once you have steak and you go back to spam, right?
Yeah.
That's not the line, but sure.
Yeah. it's going to be a line. It's rough out there, man. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
I was just like, that wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And I was
Yeah.
disappointed. And I was so thrown off by the kiss. And I was so thrown off by, I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And
It
so
would
I'm
have
like,
been interesting. We have that weekend, and then you would have hit it off. Then it would have been like, okay, the balancing, and then
that would have been weird.
Yeah.
If you went back to Max and then still proceeded to date this guy.
Oh no, yeah, no, I would not have. If it
been
had
weird.
been a great date, I would not have gone back to his house afterwards.
Right.
But it wasn't, and we never spoke again. We ghosted each other. It was like a mutual. You know what? We're both good.
Well,
I'm pretty sure
he was meant to
Yeah.
make you run back to Max.
right? Like I think it was pretty clear. Like I think my signs were pretty clear. Max thinks I made a face, which I probably
oh
did.
yeah, oh yeah.
I make so many
Because he
faces.
kissed me, and I was probably like,
Yeah, it's out of our control though. Like I make
Right.
so many faces, but at the end of the day, wouldn't you prefer that we did? Wouldn't you prefer to be able to read our face than to not read our face? That'd be scarier. I think it's scarier when you can't read a woman's
Yeah.
face.
Well, he goes, what did he say? He said, next time you'll come over. And I think that's when I made the face. I was sort of like,
That ain't happening.
okay.
You're like, I
Jump in my
gotta
car.
get back to get some.
And then I did.
I kind of love that though. It's almost like this date was that like this date. The purpose of this date was for Max to see you look bombing. You know, remember what he had, and for you to be like, oh, shoot, and then go running back. You know, like,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, we went out that Friday,
Worked out.
and it just seemed different. It was, I don't know.
Yeah, we went out, we had a long discussion, and then we podcasted about the breakup, and then we went out for dinner, and we had like this long talk about everything, and I didn't give a fuck anymore, because like before that I was trying to be like, it's a perfect girlfriend and all that stuff, and it dumped me, so I'm like, whatever, I'm just me. I'm just, not trying to be perfect, not trying. Yeah, like I wasn't trying, there was no pressure about anything. I was just like, I'm whatever. And I think something about that struck a chord with him, and now he's obsessed. So,
Can't get enough. That's
right?
That's awesome.
She's like, I'm moving in.
And you loved it because you didn't have to ask her.
Right?
And she makes my life
Don't
a
act like
lot
you don't love
easier,
that.
which is nice. It's still hard for me going back to the parenting, like still now asking for help. Like she helps out, but I think she wants to help out more. And I'm, sometimes I'm like,
I just do it. I don't
it's
ask.
it's
I
hard.
just do what I'm going to do.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
That's how people should be. They should just be who they are, do what they do.
Mhm. This was so much fun.
I was trying to remember the cheese joke that I keep bombing. The
It's
brie
the
one,
brie
right?
one. Yeah.
Did you hear about the cheese
Oh.
company in France that had an explosion?
There was debris everywhere.
Yeah.
Good.
Ba-dum-bum. That's when you laugh, Chrissy.
Awkward.
It was nice meeting you.
hopefully-
It was awesome to meet you guys. I'm
It was
geeking
so
out probably
nice.
way more than you guys are.
Oh,
It was
I
really
love
awesome
that.
to talk to you guys. You guys are so cool.
I
would
love
love
her.
to hang out sometime. Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
For sure.
She said she's always wanted to do a dinner party so we can do
I
a
do.
like a no dick pics podcast dinner
Yes!
party.
Oh my
Like-
god, that's so awkward, but yes.
But awkward in the best way.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, well, let's make this work.
All right. Have a good night at
All right.
Cooper's.
Thanks.
We will.
Have
I'm
lots of
excited.
wine for me.
Oh, I will. All right. You have a good one. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Bye. We had a great conversation with Chrissy. It was so nice of
That
her
was
to
amazing.
join us.
That was so fun.
I'm going to have to cut it down quite a bit because we just went on and on, which is great. It was just a really good convo that just kept going.
She's your, well, you guys don't look alike, but like type of personality, everything. You guys are like very similar.
Yeah, that's why we've clicked so well. I'm like, oh, she's me just like 10 years ago. So,
I was like, oh, I'd give anything to be like 34, 35.
I know.
Oh,
yeah, that's interesting, that perspective though. That feeling like you're like getting too old to start over.
I think everyone feels that after a divorce or a separation. It's like part two, and it doesn't matter. You can be 29 or 49. You're still going to feel like, because you have that, can I meet someone else again and do that all over again? I think that's where my trepidation is. It's because with marriage is like, I've done it and it didn't work. And it's just like, I kind of don't want to try that again. But, I get it. I mean, people, like when when you get divorced and you want to find that someone that's just going to make everything better, and sometimes you ignore the red flags and you just want that to happen because in the beginning you just want to meet someone that kind of gets a you don't want to you want to hide all your bad memories or your pain or whatever. It never happens the first person you meet,
No.
but people want it to, right? Don't you
Yeah.
want it? The first
I
person
thought
you
it
met, you
did.
wanted it to be, yeah.
I'm like, whoa, that was easy. No, it was not. That was just like, here's an intro. This crazy fucking life you decided to jump into.
You get divorced, and dating is tough. Then you add all the baggage, the damages, then you add kids, then you add kids' spouses and drama, and it's just like
Mm-hmm.
it's bound to just be crazy. Even with stuff with my situation, we were very civil, but it still was a big deal in my life, and I didn't realize it at the time. But then my therapist is like, "No, that was a big part of your life, and now it's over. It'll affect you differently." And it's all baggage. Like I said, everyone's damaged. It's just
Yeah. And
how.
honestly, I mean, it is interesting, like, you want to move on so quickly. And I did when you look at it in the grand scheme of things. It was very fast. Like, I, separated. I started dating like probably a month later. It was probably too quick for where I was at, but like I had done a lot of work with my therapist and I just felt like I was ready to meet people and distract myself, and that's how I handled all of that. And I had some really crazy experiences, as you've all heard.
But her being with Chrissy, like being younger,
Mm-hmm.
and I hope people realize it doesn't matter how young you are.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like she's got even more. Like some of those stories is like Jesus, like the guy arguing, like, and maybe that's because younger guys. So I don't know when they talk about how guys a little bit older, a little bit more mature, or kind of see things differently. But maybe
Sometimes.
younger guys, like who would argue about the pay? Just fucking pay the
I
bill.
know.
And like she said, it's a fucking bar. You're not like God forbid, you go to like a high end steak place
Right.
where it's like 250, 300. Then
Well,
it's
and
like,
then
yeah, I
honestly, in
f-
that case, I feel like if you invite someone out to dinner to that place, you should expect to pay.
sign's leaving.
What?
It curled up. See the sign? The tape's not.
It's fine. Looks like you're
My
wearing a
head's
hat.
my head's blocking it.
Okay, I like it. But yeah, like I've said it before and I'll say it again. The fastest way to turn a girl off is to argue with her on a date. Are you kidding me? Like, I would be so turned off by that. I'd be like,
I
let's
told you on one date I had someone kind of tell me what I should do parenting. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
see. That's what I mean. Like, nobody wants unsolicited parenting advice. Nobody, especially from someone who's either not a parent or doesn't know shit about your
Especially on a
situation.
first date.
Yeah, they don't know
Like
you
that's
well enough.
crazy.
First of all, no one should do that ever. But like, it's not. That's just a bad look. Like, don't tell
And
people
I feel like
what to
with
do with their
Chrissy, like
kids.
her dating locally, like I think she's got to stop that because everyone knows everyone, and like,
That's really
right?
funny
Because like
though.
at the bar they were talking about it, I was like, yeah, you got to get out, but
Well, maybe. Hey, maybe I I started something for her. We'll see. I hope, if anything, it was just nice to meet each other and make a friend. But hopefully, it turns into something more, and I can be their flower girl. That's what I want in every like friendship. I just want to
she's like, if I'm not gonna get married, god damn it, I'm gonna get someone else married.
see. And I don't know, because you confuse me sometimes on where you stand on it. I don't know that you know where you stand.
I don't. I
That's
I
fine.
see. In the beginning, I stood like, I don't want to get married again. It's just there's
Mm-hmm.
no way. Then I was like, well, if it's important to her, depending on where the relationship is, I would think about it. Of course, I'm always gonna think about it,
Yeah.
but it's just like I don't know, like what we have is good. I don't want to
Yeah.
like.
Oh no, I don't need to get married today. I'm just saying, like, I don't honestly need to get married at all. Like, I'm fine if it's just it stays like this forever. This
Okay,
is
I'm gonna
great.
remember this, and then we can go back.
No, I've said I'm fine with that. But like, well, my therapist said that too. She's like, you're good with it now. Like, we'll see if like in 5 years you still feel that way. I'm like, that's
Couple
valid. So
weddings, couple friends' weddings, and
yeah.
then
So who knows? I'm happy with where we are now. If this, as of right now, I'll say as of March 8th, 2025, I'm fine. If this is what the rest of our lives are like, I'm very happy with where we're at. Like, I don't know, there's not really anything more. We already live together, we already have a life together. Like, everything's great. So like there's not really a next step other than like marriage, and that does mean something. But I also don't want you to like, because you say like if it means a lot to her, I think about it. I don't want that. I don't want you to do it because I want to do it. I want you to do it because you want to do it too. And I don't want you to feel pressured into something, because that's not how you start a marriage. Like, yeah, she bullied me into it. Like, I don't want that. I want you to like want it. And so
I just wanted to go to Mexico.
I don't want you to feel pressured into anything, and I don't want you to feel like you have to because it's been so many years or whatever. I want you to want it. And if you don't, I'm also okay with that. Like, I'm fine. It's not going to be a deal breaker for me. Because, like, I love you. I'm happy with our relationship. I'm fine with whatever ends up happening, but, like, I do love you. I do want to get married at some point. Like, I would love that. That would make me happy. But it's not a deal breaker. Like, I'm not going to end things because we're not married. Good talk.
Pull this tape up 2 years later. I never said that. Here you go.
No, it's fine. It's on record. I will include it in the episode and everything. It's fine. Own it. All right. So we will be back. So in the meantime, follow us on social media. You can follow us on Instagram at NoDPicsPod. Everywhere else at NoDickPicsPod. You can listen to us on any place that plays podcasts, but you can also watch our episodes on YouTube. So if you follow us on YouTube, please subscribe, and it will let you know every time there's a new episode. If you follow us on any of the podcasting platforms, please follow the podcast. And again, it'll let you know when we have a new episode. So
technology, it's great.
Yeah, and it helps us out a lot if you subscribe. So that's all we got for today. We will be back next week. Say something funny now.
See ya, wouldn't want to be ya.
Bye.